Well, welcome back. It's time to start wrapping up the show for November.
Another great show.
What a great show.
Oh,
Michael just, floors me.
And
sincerity.
And laugh about we joke about stuff with, and he is phenomenal. And again, I don't know if I can say this enough. People go, yeah. Everybody talks about, your unique snowflake and all this stuff like everybody else. But we have such a great, dedicated team.
We do.
That puts so much of their heart and who they are forward. And, you don't have a 10-year career at a place because you hate it.
Exactly.
And so we look at the things that that Mr. Bissett does, Michael does, and it's just such a compliment. I like to think that we prop each other up.
Oh, you do. And you compliment each other very, very well. As the assistant superintendent and superintendent, it's always a joy to see.
We worry less about titles and more about the idea of the team.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Things along those.
And you see
but
that.
It's such a great partnership, and again, we were so intentional on building that.
Coming together. It's so true. And I love his quote about, I don't care about hope. I care about intention. Mm-hmm. And I think that's wonderful.
And it doesn't
it's the
mean
commitment.
You can't be hopeful, because I'm hopeful to be skinny one day. But I have to be intentional with my actions. Besides the fact that only really off reference, we got to be careful about hating hope, because the first Star Wars movie that I'm a big fan of was A New Hope.
I know, this is very true.
He and I are going to have a conversation later.
He'll be following that up.
We'll be good from there. He may be wearing a Star Wars pin in the next episode for Christmas. But
I love that.
As his penance. We'll see.
Yeah, around his neck. He'll have a big emblem.
The albatross of Darth Vader. Let's go from there. But
oh my gosh, that's great. Now I'm picturing it. I can't think of anything else. No. So now this question is one I had in a conversation at a month or two ago, and I was at homecoming, and we were talking about your history, and we know where you came from, and we haven't talked a lot about about how you got into all of this. And what they said was, well, why did he get into administration, which is different from just being in education, right? Mm-hmm. And so my question, I'm putting a November spin on it.
Okay.
Specifically, who is someone in your life who you're thankful for, who helped guide you in the direction of the direction that you went into?
When we talked about this thing at the beginning, I was hoping there might be a softball or two in there.
I know. Well, it is
I
know.
Every month has been a good one, and that's a tough one. I have been so honored to have been surrounded by people in my life that showed me what great leaders look like. I'm trying not to get emotional with this.
It's going to make me cry.
But it truly is. And I talk a lot about my parents. My mom and my dad are very important to me. Family is a big thing. When we look at that kind of stuff, and as we pull things back in, my dad showed me how to lead with his heart and to put everybody else's needs ahead of what you want, because when you take care of the team, then everything gets done.
Right.
My mom taught me relationships and the passion of those connections. When I look at, I jokingly say that the best administrator I've ever met in my life was my wife, who was a retired SPED administrator.
Yes.
And yes, people go, well, you're biased because you're married to her. And,
I love her too.
I'm saying that so that way she'll feed me over Thanksgiving. But when it comes down to it, I watched my wife wrestle with some of the toughest decisions as a SPED director. And because of the nature of our job, I don't know what it is. Like, she can't know my life, I can't know hers. We just know it's a lot of time.
Right.
And we know things like that. And so you see a lot of those wrestling things. So, obviously Rick Fortney and Connie Fortney, my parents, influenced a great deal of who I was. But when we talk about the idea of really seeing it, my wife was an administrator before I got into administration, so I got to see how it's done with class and how it's done with integrity. And irregardless, there's an old saying, with education, that we do what's best for kids. And I heard an administrator one time say that that's an incomplete statement, that we do what's best for kids, not convenient for adults. And sometimes that's not the same thing.
Okay.
And I've watched my wife as a SPED administrator in multiple districts, in small districts, in large districts, really fulfill that mantra.
Right.
So when we get into things and we get to the emotion of stuff, I would tell you that my wife had a profound impact, not because of being my spouse, which I am grateful for, but because being a shining example of how to lead and to never lose her North Star. Not once did she ever, people may not have agreed with decisions. You get a lot of that in administration.
Right.
People may not, you're not going to please everybody. That's not necessarily the job, but you don't go into it looking to create enemies or to have controversy.
That's right.
But you make decisions based off policy and state and federal law.
Sure.
And practices and looking at the big picture. And so I would tell you that from that standpoint, it is 100% the Dr. Sherry Fortney.
Yes.
She's the doctor in the family.
Yes.
And so, it's Dr. and Mr. Fortney when we go out instead of the opposite. But even to this day, she's still she's teaching a couple courses at Colby Sawyer and loves that, is very involved in all kinds of things.
And her heart is so big. I had the sniffles last month, and there she is at the doorstep with, blankets and soups, and,
Yeah, we need to talk about that because she was trying to give away some of the soups that I like, but she said it was for you, so that was okay. But
so
that's
Rick,
it's that
Connie,
servant
Sherry,
leadership.
yes,
Sherry,
and
we talked about it in my first interview. Ryan Sherp was the principal who got me engaged in administration, was really that guy to kind of say, you need to go do this job. But when you talk about what were the examples that I draw from, Ryan was a catalyst that made me believe in that I could do the job.
Right.
But the other people, those family members in my life, provided me great examples of why and how to do the job.
Well, let me tell you, if you want to see this big heart at work, honestly, those school board meetings, I attend them not just to find out what's going on, but to see how they are held and to see our district comes from a place of caring at all times.
Yeah.
And your heart is appreciated.
I appreciate that.
In that. And I hope that helps answer the question to our friend who we were talking to at homecoming. But that's where you come from. Because administration is a different step up from being an educator.
It's a different world.
So watching Dr. Sherry, right, Dr. Fortney operate, I'm sure helps tremendously.
And I had those things in there, but I've also been, again, I'm fortunate that I've been surrounded by great leaders. I look at the good and the bad leaders. We're still people that provide the lessons.
Right, you learn from both, which is wonderful. I think I learned as much of the examples that you might not want to emulate.
Part of it, there also have been times where you look at administrators and go, well, if that person can do it, oh my goodness, surely I can. Whole different conversation in a different segment.
Yes, this is true. Well, thank you for that, and I appreciate those insights. And I thought it was a softball, but not so much.
Not so much.
I know.
That's okay.
Well, it is the month of November, and we're grateful for you. Thank you for tuning in, because it gives us the chance, and John the chance, to really lift the veil on what's going on in the district.
Well, we want people to see what's going on. It's their district. It's a community district.
Right.
The community is heavily invested and involved in what we have going on. And again, like we've talked about this a number of times, the people we bring on tell the story so much better than we ever could. We have opinions and we have great stories, but to see the emotion from our CIA director, the excitement, to hear the battles that Christine Turcotte is doing when they're trying to get our kids across the finish line, and just to see the emotion all the time, and just the great advice that we see from Mr. Bissetti. Those stories hold so much more weight when they're told by those folks.
Absolutely, and we even got cooking advice today too, right? For that turkey.
We have not debated. We're going to debate this one.
We will. I feel emails in our future.
Yeah,
but thank you again for joining us. We wish you and your family a joyous, safe, and happy Thanksgiving.
Absolutely. We look forward to seeing you next month, when hopefully we have had 0 snow days, but we don't know that it's New Hampshire, but I can be hopeful.
Hopeful, exactly. I don't think so.
Good use of it. We'll see what happens, but we'll see you next month.
Right here on
the Cougar Chronicle.